We studied the fire they left behind. Our archives cataloged it as energy signatures, thermal spikes, battlefield anomalies. To us, fire was simply a dangerous reaction, something to contain, avoid, classify. But the first time I saw the raw human files, the ones captured during the First Contact War, I understood why the senior curators never spoke of it lightly. It burned differently when we spoke their name. My designation is Servel, archivist of conflict patterns. I was born long after the war ended in chambers carved deep beneath our cold oceans. We are not a species that loves risk. We learn from danger by sealing it away. The human conflict occupies more shelves in our repository than any other single-species war. That alone is unusual. They were not powerful enough to justify such weight. Yet the Council kept every fragment. In my first cycle, I was assigned to audit cross-cultural interpretations of human energy doctrine. I expected tactical data. Instead, the first file I opened displayed a small human fire, what they called a campfire. It was nothing, a handful of organic matter burning in the open air, a controllable hazard. But humans gathered around it, leaning close instead of retreating. They looked at it the way we look at the bioluminescent tides of home, something that comforts Iran translations again. The same word they used for this fragile flame appeared in the manuals for their fusion drives and in logs describing the opening volleys of their orbital weapons. One word, 1,000 scales. It unsettled me more than any casualty chart. The next file was from the siege of the Thales Ring. Enemy ordnance, ours, streaked toward a human station plasma, kinetic tracers, arcs of light blooming like small suns against the metal. I heard human voices on the audio channel. Fear, commands, prayers. Then a calm voice overriding all others. Contain the fire. Keep it above the line. It does not touch the cradle. The cradle was the planet below, densely populated. In our records, the engagement is summarized as inefficient human strategy. But watching through their own sensors, I began to see something else. They were not trying to win. They were holding a boundary, not against us, but against their own destructive potential. They feared their fire, too. I watched hundreds of such fragments, flames in shelters during storms, candles for mourning, fusion cores humming at the edge of catastrophe. And again, I saw humans treat fire not as an enemy, nor as a tool, but as a companion they never fully trusted and never abandoned. We would never have chosen such a relationship. And that, I realized, was the first difference between us. The archives taught us that the Battle of Tel Kar proved human instability. Our fleets had pursued them into a nebula rich in exploitable elements human forces refused to retreat. They activated a weapon we had never documented. A wall of shaped radiation and plasma filaments that devastated everything within it. Millions died. We recorded indiscriminate escalation, evidence of suicidal doctrine. Later, in the human logs, I found another name for the same event. The Line of Ash. The footage from their perspective was chaotic. Debris, warning tones, collapsing shields. Yet their tactical overlays displayed something our own lacked. Icons marking civilian habitats beyond the nebula stations with no weapons. Nursery worlds still in early development. We had not known. In our pursuit, we would have reached those worlds within days. A translated directive appeared in the human files. Sacrificial containment. Burn here so nothing burns beyond. Not victory, not fury. A barrier. They were willing to destroy themselves to stop the fire from crossing a line we never saw. When I compared our official explanation with theirs, I felt something crack in the clean logic of our archives. We had mistaken sacrifice for madness. I requested access to the sealed sublevels, restricted documents from the war. My mentor denied me twice. We catalog, she reminded me. We do not empathize. But after my third request, she opened the vault herself. "Some lessons," she said quietly, "do not fit into categories." The sealed files were colder, preserved near the limits of our comfort. Among them were translated fragments of human personal logs. Not strategies, memories. A soldier writing about orbital fire falling like a second sun, an engineer describing a fusion core as a heartbeat made of light, a child remembering hurricane candles lit in a shelter. None of these were weapons, yet my mentor had placed them beside the most dangerous documents our species possessed. On one page, in her handwriting, "They choose to live beside a force they cannot control. We never dared to." The note stayed with me. I began to suspect that our fear of human fire was less about what it did to us and more about what it revealed about them. They accepted danger as a companion. We built our society on never letting danger near. In the months that followed, I compared every human directive in our records with the original logs. Patterns emerged. Where we recorded recklessness, their logs showed restraint. Where we recorded escalation, they showed fear of spreading destruction. Where we wrote irrational, they wrote, "We cannot let it happen again." Again. Always that word. Our reports never asked what "again" referred to. Our war colleges teach that stability is achieved through control. We build reactors that shut themselves down, engines that refuse unsafe thresholds, weapons with fail-safes so strict they sometimes refuse to fire. Humans, by contrast, built engines that roared, weapons that risked their lives to operate, and vessels whose hearts were miniature stars. They lived with danger, not apart from it. And yet, they often showed more caution than we did. It was disorienting. One evening, in the quiet of the repository, I found a diplomatic transcript written after the war. A human envoy had urged all signatories to restrict orbital bombardments near population centers. Our summary dismissed this as irrational, but the full transcript revealed something else. A painful historical memory of a fire that once consumed entire cities on their homeworld. They were not imposing morality. They were remembering loss. I sat in the cold chamber for a long time. Then, against protocol, I accessed our index. In stark glyphs, it read, "Human fire doctrine, suicidal." With a trembling claw, I changed one word, "sacrificial." A small alteration, a dangerous one, but truer. In the cycles since, I have kept my observations quiet. The Archivum Council prefers simplicity, and humans do not fit simple categories. They are not harmless. There are worlds scarred by their decisions, but there are also places where they held the flame close, shielding others from it at immense cost. We labeled them unpredictable. I think the truth is more difficult. They were willing to carry something dangerous so others would not have to. Sometimes, after my shift, I stand on the observation deck above our city. Our lights glow softly, cool blues, muted greens, safe and steady. Tonight I bring a small artifact with me, a human lamp recovered from a refugee vessel. No flame, only a focused beam of light. Not fire, but descended from it, I activate it and set it on the railing. A pale circle appears on the metal. In the reflection, it hovers above my face like a tiny star. No, our species will never embrace fire as they did. We seal danger away. They carried it into the dark and built meaning around it. Somewhere beyond the ash line of Telkar, humans still travel between the stars. They still teach their children that flame must be respected and sometimes protected. They name their engines and their candles and their weapons with the same syllables we feared them for that once. Now, when I file my reports, I add a quiet note to every entry that touches their doctrine. They are not the ones who love destruction. They are the ones who learned to live beside the fire, so others could sleep in peace. We studied the fire they left behind. I do not love it, but at last, I understand why they refused to put it down.